Last little nugget I want to toss to you real quick before we head out here in a second. Lukas Van Ness, according to one Steelers name to watch, Steelers radio personality, Andrew Filipponi, is a I saw it as I woke up this morning. I saw it is a name to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 4 tweets below it are just people informing Andrew Filipponi that, and I think, you know, Pony does a great job. He's a great dude. Informing him that he does not fit in what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. Nobody would know that better than you. Yes, no, maybe. You laughed when I said it.
So it's going to be funny for people that actually watch the draft pod. So y'all have already heard my takes on Van Ness.
Yeah, you hate Lukas Van Ness.
I don't hate him. I just don't think that the way that he plays is very translatable to the next level. I have a bunch of concerns about Van Ness's game. I know that everybody says like it's Iowa. They played their guys, they played their vets, whatever. All I know is I think it's really weird if we got a guy who's getting he's getting mocked in the top 10, and Iowa was putting him on the bench in gotta have it moments. Like in the fourth quarter,
really?
Like teams were driving, you needed a stop, and where's he at? This dude is on the bench.
Wow.
Like they're not playing him at the college level. So like to me, that's just weird to me. And like again, everybody's told me, like, I know, like I get it. They play their vets, whatever. But I think if you've got a dude, no matter if you've got a philosophy or not of playing your guys, if you have a dude who is a top 10 pick at the collegiate level, you are doing whatever you can to get this dude in advantageous situations. They weren't even putting him on the field. Wow. So, and just in general, like my overall, I'll just might as well go ahead and get the whole take. Just in general, like as an edge rusher in the league, there are very, very few guys who play edge rusher who have no moves.
He has
and
none.
Literally just win with pure power.
Yeah.
And pure motor. It just does. There's not many guys that do that. Like, I mean, Trey Hendrickson, like Nick brought this up to me. I think it was yesterday on the pod. Or whatever.
Nick had a very interesting comparison. I don't know if you caught that real quick. TJ Watt.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah. He goes, yeah, he's got a little bit of TJ Watt-esque to him. And I went, what?
I didn't hear that. No, but he mentioned like Trey Hendrickson. So like Trey Hendrickson, good player. Like I think if you were to like do a redraft of like when Hendrickson, it took him like 3-4 years to break out.
Yeah.
And then like the same thing, I could see that for Van Ness too. Van Ness, the two things I'll say about him, if you're trying to make an argument for him in the top 10 or something like that, or early first round, is that he tested like an elite athlete. I don't think he plays like one. That's just my opinion. But like he tested like one. And then he plays with a super, super hot motor. That to me is caveat.
Yeah.
When you're only playing like 30, 45% of the snaps, you better be playing freaking hard.
Yeah.
But having said that, like a high motor as a pass rusher, you'll run into sacks. Like you saw that with Aiden Hutchinson last year, like early in the season, like his first like 5 or 6 sacks, I feel like were like cleanup sacks or hustle sacks. Hey, they all count the same in the box score. Like casual fans and stuff, they all count the same.
No, watch tape, it's not the same.
So it gives you a nice floor. I just think like for a guy that doesn't consistently threaten the outside shoulder of tackles, I don't think he plays like an elite athlete. He has no pass rushing toolkit right now whatsoever. NFL starting caliber tackles are not going to let you just run through their chest.
No.
15 to 20 times a game.
No, especially not right tackles. Like just not, those are the guys you do beat with your athleticism.
Imagine you get a guy like Orlando Brown who's going to set you inside out every single play, and he's just literally going to let you bounce off of him. And like Van Ness is really strong. Like, don't get me wrong. Like he's a strong kid. It's so funny to me too. Like it's my last point because I know I'm a hater. But everybody only shows like the same 2 highlights of him running over.
I have noticed that.
Paris Johnson, and there's the one with him running over Skoronski. But what they leave out is like Skoronski clamped him up this past season. Like he didn't really do anything in that matchup. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. I agree with Nick though. Like
Yeah.
if you're talking about a guy who is going to play some edge, but you're going to kick him inside on pass rushing downs, or if you just want to straight up convert him to like 3 tech. I've seen some like Justin Smith type things where you maybe put some weight on him and he plays more as like a 3 tech or a 5 tech or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, I get it. At that point, if you want to do it, fine. I'm talking like if you're standing this dude up in a 7 or a 9, like play after play after play, I'm out. Like round 1, top 10, I'm out. There's just other players that I'd rather have in this draft than that. And that's just, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I could completely end up being totally wrong.
You might have to be if they trade up to 9 and go get him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
never know.
Well, another thing, it's really funny because they brought in Keon White for a top 30. And like,
he's the same thing.
He's also a guy that like I've watched. I've only watched like a little bit of his tape, not nearly as much as I've watched on Van Ness. But like he's another guy. I'm like, how are we mocking this guy in the first round?
Dude, that was my question with him. Is everybody's
and
like,
he got invited to the draft, which means he's going in the top 20.
First round. Yeah. And that is that one got me because at the Senior Bowl, that was it. It's just like, why is this guy down here? He's going to end up going top 10. And I'm like, he is? Like, I didn't know anything about him, but watching him, I was just like, this is a very basic, super athletic, looks like a freak.
Oh yeah. He looks crazy.
Yeah. But like, didn't impress me. Didn't really, there's some guy like Carl Brooks stood out. That guy, the guy out of Northwestern that I can never pronounce his name. That guy was a monster. Yes. Keon White just, didn't flash for me.
I mean,
this guy's going top 10, really?
I mean, White's an incredible athlete. I mean, don't get me wrong.
That's all it was. Is he's just like, oh, well, this guy could just jump over the line. Like,
and he's played, he's played a little bit all over the place too. I mean, I know last year, like he played primarily off the edge, and like I do think White plays more like his testing profile or athletic profile suggests he does.
Yeah.
But he's another guy. Like he's a former tight end, I want to say, defensive end convert. So he's another guy. When I watch him, like he don't really know what he's doing with his hands or with any type of move either. So like that's another thing. And I don't think he's explosive, but he's not bendy. So like that's always a thing. Like if you're not a guy that's going to consistently bend the corner, like are you going to be able to just straight out beat people with speed and first step? Or like you're going to have to develop some type of moves and some counters before he can really tap into that upside. So they're both honestly like kind of similar but different in ways. But like they're both guys that like I think you're drafting them specifically on upside and your own belief and like you're going to be able to develop these guys into special players down the road. Because I think I would be surprised if either one of them was like just came in right away and just really hit it off. So
you're gonna have to be if you're going top 10. But I agree with you. I think there were 3 names coming into this draft process that were just like at the defensive end edge rusher position that I was just like, what are we doing here? And it was Van Ness, White, and Andre Carter. Andre Carter has fallen into where I think he deserves to be in the draft, and the other 2 have somehow just moved their way up. Well, White to a degree. At one point, White was like, oh, this guy could go top 5. And you're like, oh, okay. And now he's bottom of the first, which is still a little high. But yeah, I don't know. When you're an athletic freak like that, people are going to take chances on you. There's been too many of them in the NFL that have.
And I'm all about I'm all about betting on traits when it shows up.
Yeah.
When it shows up on tape.
When it shows up on tape. Gotta watch
do
the
what
tape.
You gotta do. And like we know too that like coaches, they're always overconfident in their ability to coach guys up. And like that's why I think like you consistently every draft cycle see guys like this that are raw but have the athletic profile that suggests they could like have a really high ceiling. That's why these guys go high early, because like they're betting on the traits, they're betting on themselves to be able to get the most out of these guys. I don't fault that. I think certain coaching staffs do that better than others. And honestly, like even within your coaching staff, you're not going to do that as well at every position. Like you're going to have certain positions that you just don't develop very well. So Again, I think it just depends. It reminds me a lot of the like we talked about Tariq Woolen from last year.
Yes.
Like I sat there and watched, like, dude, I watched everything. I was going to YouTube to watch broadcast angled games to find what everyone was seeing in this cat, like beyond the athletic numbers. And I'm like sitting there thinking, like, he is getting cooked by these account reps. Like there was janitors like cooking him in college. And I'm like, how? Like, and then he goes 5th round. And I'm like, okay, well, like I had him as a late day 2, early day 3 guy. So I was like, this is good value. This is great value for him in the 5th round. But then I look and I'm like, he's going to Seattle. This dude's gonna blow it. Like they're gonna fix this dude. Like they do this every time they pick a corner.
Yeah, very
like
true.
You look, Brandon Browner, Byron Maxwell, Richard Sherman. Like none of these guys were like top picks, and they just get them in there, and they're like, all right, well, he's a lockdown corner. And this is exactly what happened with Woolen last year. Like he gave up some plays, but like he was a really good.
Dude, for
you
5th round
don't see
rookie.
very many good rookie cornerbacks ever. I mean, I know Sauce had a historic year last year, but normally that's a position that takes a little bit to translate. And Woolen was really good last year, but it like landing spot, it matters. Like it matters so much. I've been preaching that on Twitter the last couple of weeks too, because like people lose their minds with that stuff. They just forget that it's a part of the evaluation. Like where you end up, who you end up getting coached by, what are your surroundings like? Like that stuff matters so much. And like we don't, like when we're trying to like evaluate prospects or talk about these guys' strengths and weaknesses, like that part of the evaluation is always going to be missing because like we just don't know. Like you don't know where they're going to end up.
I 100% agree. And I think that's very interesting with the Pittsburgh Steelers because I have a lot of faith in what Carl Dunbar does to the defensive line guys and how well he coaches them up. But at the same time, outside of Alex Highsmith, he doesn't really have, there's nobody else that's a proven commodity at this point. We'll see with the Marvin Leal. We'll see with Isaiah Loudermilk. But, from what you hear, it's good things. So maybe he could turn one of these guys, Lukas Van Ness, number 9, into a star. We never know. Do I hope that they trade up to 9? No, my life becomes pure chaos the second that they do. It's a scary time, but at the same time, it would be very exciting. So we'll see. All Steelers Talk has officially launched their own clothing brand, Black and Gold Apparel, now available on bonfire.com or at the shop tab at our YouTube page. Your new favorite place for Steelers t-shirts, sweatshirts, and crew necks, now out, now available in multiple designs, including some of my favorites, Kenny Comeback, Mute, and Kenny DeGeorge. Check them all out at bonfire.com or on the shop tab at our YouTube page.